I can't really do the introduction I wanted to for the stiffness indicator because it would probably get me canceled, and that's not worth it, so we move on. But yes, traders, it is the stiffness indicator this week. I wonder sometimes if the people who code this are just nerds who don't understand toilet humor, or they're bros who totally understand toilet humor. But either way, we are grateful for the stiffness indicator. This is going to be a volatility indicator, which we are starting to bring out a bit more often. It used to be months and months before you would see us profile another one, but we are finding more, and we're finding more that we actually really like. So these still are not going to come your way all that frequently, but they're going to come more frequently than before, just so you know. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, if you're new, understand, this is the #1 indicator channel in all of YouTube. It's always been that way. Will always be that way. But we talk and do things a certain way. If you're not familiar with those ways, this isn't going to make a lot of sense to you. So instead of asking silly questions in the comment section, go to nononsenseforex.com instead. Read the first page. Watch the first video. Get caught up. It's going to take time, but it is worth it. Now, for the rest of you, let's go ahead and get into the specs of the stiffness indicator. The year is going to be 2018. Well within the 1996 non-threshold we like to see here. No problems there. The type is going to be volatility. As we mentioned before, the subtype, however, is going to be something that I don't think we've ever done here before. It's going to be a line cross, not a 2 lines cross, not a 0 line cross, not necessarily a midline cross, but just a horizontal line cross. You will see what I mean shortly. As far as exit indicators go, you guys know for volatility indicators, I don't like it. So I am personally going to say no to this one. Let's go ahead and take a look and understand that it's going to take some explanation, and I will be happy to do that. So the stiffness indicator is this thing down below. This is something Dan did. I'll explain it in a minute. But if you're not familiar or if you've forgotten, you have to measure a volatility indicator against something. It's not like the other ones where you can just do it standalone. It has to be measured against some type of algorithm. So just to keep things really, really simple, we just pretend like our entire algorithm is this 20-period SMA right here. And we attempt to see if all we do is wait for price to cross and close above it for longs and then cross and close below it for shorts. We want to see how much this volatility or volume indicator can improve upon the results we would get with nothing more than a 20 SMA moving average. Again, if you're new here, this is not going to make sense. But for you all who have been with us for a while, hopefully this does make sense because this is literally what we've done every time. Now, what happens here is the default line, and you guys are really going to have to go to the blog for this because there are so many complex moving parts here. But the default line is set right here at, I believe, 75. Now, if the line is above it, that's a go. If it's below it, it's a no-go. The obvious problem with that, as you can see, is that most everything here becomes a no-go. And who wants that? Even if it's really, really accurate to do things that way, you don't want to get knocked out of all this and just not trade any of this. But this line was just showing one of the trades that it actually allowed. Most everything else from here over was a no-go. So that's obviously a problem. Now, the way you would fix that is by moving the line itself to a lower level. That is one of the main ways you would adjust the settings here. I think you can also straighten this line out. You know, this is one of those things that Dan over at Stonehill Forex just went really, really deep into. And I was like, you have fun with this one. So really, going to the blog after this or going to Dan's video after this is an absolute must if you want to know anything more than what I just told you. But we're going to go ahead and get into the results now that you guys hopefully understand how this thing works and how we adjust it and how we test it. So before we do that, though, understand that none of this matters. Anything you see. We're just gatekeepers here at the end of the day. We try to get the best results we can, show them to you, but how it performs in your system is all that really matters in the end. So down below, too, understand if you don't know how to test, I got a link down below showing you how to do that. It's in my automation blog. There's an embedded video showing you how to test this on the MT4 strategy tester. The blog, which we already talked about, is a must, as is Dan's video. Dan is in a weird time zone right now, so he's releasing these things even earlier. So if you want to cheat and get a jump on it, you have more time to do so now. The second email address to where if you want to submit an indicator yourself for the indicator profile series, we've already done 3 or 4, and we will be doing more, so feel free to do that. And then the most popular place on all the interwebs, the indicator library, where you can download the stiffness indicator and every other indicator we have profiled in this entire series. It's all right there. So let's go ahead and take a look at the results. Now remember, we are only showing how the stiffness indicator improves the 20-period SMA. That's all you're seeing here. So even a little bit of improvement is going to be really nice. But on the EURUSD, there's some pretty decent improvement. Now I will say all of these tables are going to be a little bit blurry this week. Blurry is kind of a theme with this video, but so apologize for that. They should go back to normal next week. But what we're seeing here is a pretty consistent 7.5% increase on the daily and the 4-hour. That's really good. What's even better though is this here on gold. Again, as a simple standalone confirmation indicator, these would be some decent results, but this is just an improvement over what's already there. So that's extremely nice. People think volume indicators aren't necessary sometimes for whatever reason because they're so hard to find and people are lazy and they just don't want to test them. Well, that's fine. Don't use them, but this is what you're missing out on. Over to the S&P. Again, really good, especially on the 4-hour, but it's been really good on the 4-hour S&P, so that should be expected. And then over to Bitcoin. Not so much on the 4-hour, believe it or not, but really nice on the daily, which is what most of you probably trade. So the simple opportunity to improve your results this much is really worth going into the settings and everything else that goes into what is a very complicated indicator. But at the end of the day, Dan and I make it as easy for you as we possibly can. And we do this all the time. Subscribe, hit the bell. Don't miss anything. Indicator Profile Series videos every Wednesday. But we also have the Trading Psychology podcast, the single most important thing we do every Monday. Blogs on Thursdays most of the time, and then the 10-Minute Contrarian Investing podcast every Saturday. We put in the work to make you a better trader and a better investor. Do not squander this information. Do not squander this opportunity. And go get it.